My name is Steve Elzinga. I'm Marion County Counsel, and I'm here to talk about the Oregon Health Authority, also known as OHA. They've adopted new rules for residential treatment facilities that are endangering county staff, program participants, visitors, and neighbors. For example, OAR 309-35-170 now requires at least 30 days written notice to transfer or discharge a resident unless either 1, the resident voluntarily agrees to leave, or 2, and I quote, a resident's behavior has directly resulted in serious physical harm to other residents in the program or program staff, end quote. This rule defies common sense and absurdly means county health staff must wait until a criminal assault occurs on staff or other residents before they can take necessary action in response to an emergency safety threat. Marion County joined other counties advocating for reasonable changes informally. OHA fixed a few other issues, but not our core safety concerns. Marion County Council sent a formal letter to OHA requesting safety changes. OHA still refused to budge. Marion County staff have continued informal discussions with OHA along with other counties, but OHA still refuses to commit to common sense fixes. So today, we are filing a formal rulemaking petition under ORS 183.390, which legally requires OHA to invite public comments on our proposed rule amendments and fully consider our concerns. We hope this legal procedure will finally spur OHA to do the right thing. If not, we will take further legal action to protect the safety of county staff, program participants, visitors, and neighbors. And we have a clinical supervisor at Horizon House in Marion County who can speak directly to some of these impacts.
Steve, why don't you stay there, actually? And why don't you come? That would be great. Thank you. Welcome. Go ahead and introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you. My name is Anna Masada. So for the past 5 years, I've had the honor of serving as a clinical supervisor at Horizon House Residential Treatment Facility, following my work within Marion County Health and Human Services at the Behavioral Health Crisis Center and Adult Behavioral Health. This work is more than a profession to me. I care deeply about the individuals we serve and believe that people living with serious mental illness deserve compassionate treatment, safe housing, dignity, and the opportunity to build meaningful lives. I hope to continue advocating for these individuals and for expanding residential treatment options in our community. At Horizon House, we believe strongly in honoring residents' rights, choices, and independence. We do not want to be punitive or unnecessarily restrict anyone's freedom. At the same time, we have a responsibility to every person who calls Horizon House home, as well as the staff who work tirelessly to support these individuals. They deserve to feel physically and emotionally safe while receiving or giving treatment. Unfortunately, there are times when current or proposed Oregon administrative rules make it extremely difficult to balance these responsibilities. One example I'll share involved a resident who required oxygen and repeatedly flicked a lighter on and off right next to his oxygen tank while it was running.
Oh my gosh.
Staff are understandably concerned about the potential devastating consequences of having an open flame near oxygen. However, the OHA division instructed us that we could not simply take the lighter away while developing a safety plan
Stop, that's
or putting
insane.
individualized behavioral limits in place. One suggestion was to ask the resident to leave his oxygen tank in another room when he wanted to have his lighter. For several weeks, our staff worked patiently with this resident while continuing to worry about the safety of everyone in the home. Eventually, through trust, conversation, and encouragement, not force, the resident agreed to allow staff to safely store his lighter for him. I'm grateful we reached that outcome, but it is difficult to understand why our staff had so few options when faced with such an obvious safety concern. We should not have to wait for a tragedy before we are allowed to prevent one. Another area that continues to be challenging is alcohol and drug use within our residential treatment facility. Individuals come to us because they need structure, support, and treatment to help them reach stability and move forward in their recovery. Due to the nature of acute, severe mental illness, many of our residents struggle with a lack of insight, impulsivity, and reality checking. When we are unable to set reasonable limits around substances in the home, it can work against the treatment we are trying to provide to all the individuals. Alcohol and drugs do increase mental health symptoms, interfere with treatment, and impact the safety and stability of everyone in the home. There are also times when combining these substances with prescribed mental health or medical medications can create significant health and safety concerns. Yet, even when we know these risks exist, there are situations where we have very limited ability to prevent these substances from being brought into or kept in the home. This puts our staff in a difficult position when their role is to support a safe and therapeutic environment for everyone who lives there. Again, we should not have to wait for a tragedy before we are allowed to prevent one. One last situation remains especially difficult for me. A resident was repeatedly verbally and psychologically abusive, threatening, posturing towards others, and at times became physically aggressive with other residents and staff. Despite repeated interventions, warnings, and attempts to address the behavior, other residents became fearful and lost something every person deserves to have in their own home: psychological safety. The challenge for programs like Horizon House RTF is what happens while we are working through the outlined involuntary transition process within our rules. We can put basic house covenants and safety measures in place, but there are times when the tools available to us are simply not enough to quickly restore safety and stability in the home. Our responsibilities are to protect the rights and dignity of the individual who is struggling, while also protecting the affected resident who is afraid to leave their bedroom, the resident who no longer feels safe sitting at the dinner table, and the staff member who goes home in tears after doing everything they know to do to support someone in crisis. We are not asking for the ability to remove someone simply because their behaviors are challenging. Challenging behaviors are part of the work we do, and our staff understand that. They care deeply about the individuals they serve and understand that some days will be incredibly difficult. At the same time, our staff and the other residents who call Horizon House home deserve an environment where they can feel safe. What we are asking for is a system that recognizes there must be a balance. We are ultimately able to assist this individual with a voluntary transition to another home, but it took a significant amount of time. That resident left more than a year ago, yet the impact has not left with them. Some residents still continue to struggle with feeling safe in their home because of the psychological and emotional abuse they endured from that individual despite staff intervention and support. That is something I carry with me. Protecting the rights of one individual should not mean that we should lose sight of the rights, safety, and well-being of everyone else living and working in that home. These experiences are why I believe dignity, individual choice, accountability, and safety must be able to coexist. Individuals who require licensed residential treatment often need compassionate structure and support to develop the skills necessary for recovery and greater independence. Allowing providers to establish reasonable safety boundaries is not about restricting an individual's rights. It's about creating an environment where treatment and healing can actually occur. Our staff carry this responsibility every day. They work holidays and severe weather days, prepare meals, administer medications, respond to medical concerns, de-escalate crises, and support residents through some of the most difficult moments in their lives. They continually find creative and compassionate ways to honor residents' choices while trying to keep everyone safe. I cannot say enough about their dedication. My greatest priority will always be the safety, dignity, health, and recovery of the people we serve, along with the safety and well-being of the staff who care for them and the community in the vicinity of the home. I believe we can protect individuals' rights without losing sight of our responsibility to protect the entire community in and around a residential home. My hope is that Oregon's rules will give providers the reasonable tools, support, and flexibility necessary to do both. Our residents deserve more than a bed. They deserve a home where they can feel safe enough to heal, supported enough to grow, and empowered enough to build a better future. That is what residential treatment should provide, and that is what I will continue to advocate for. Thanks for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Anna. Commissioner Bethel, I can tell you have something to say.
I've had something to say. This isn't the first time. While the world might be hearing about this, I've been navigating this for several weeks with this team. And first of all, like, there's just a small representation of you in this room, 2 of you, at the supervisory level of a program that literally saves people's lives every day. And listening to you talk and tell the 2 situations, which are just 2 of the numerous ridiculous things that you all have to navigate every single day in the role that you take on behalf of families in our community. What strikes me as most infuriating is the fact that the Oregon Health Authority and Ebony Clark herself are so ignorant and so disrespectful that she found it appropriate to respond to our request with a letter filled with ridiculous responses and borderline lies. She shouldn't be qualified, if she is even qualified, to be in the job that she is in. And I would guess that she has never once stepped foot in a residential facility, let alone provided a service to the individuals that you are caring for in Horizon House. And I invite her publicly to bring herself from the Tower of Portland that she sits in to Salem, to Horizon House, and to see that facility and the size of it, to understand what you go through every single day. This might be, no, it is the most infuriating thing that I have interacted with as a county commissioner. As a child of somebody who had severe and persistent mental illness, I can't say enough about the things that you guys do. The things that I have witnessed loving individuals do when they are not in their right mind is unacceptable to children, spouses, and people that take care of them. And I am actually thinking as a county commissioner that this is a body of work we shouldn't be doing, because we have a responsibility as elected officials on behalf of the citizens of this county to protect their taxes and to protect their neighbors. And I cannot sit here in my own consciousness and believe that I have to know that you're going to go back to that building with these rules in place, possibly putting your life on the line. And it's not dramatic to say that, because there is not an institution of medical need in America that allows people to take flames near oxygen. You're not even supposed to have flames in a gas station. And for OHA to suggest that it might not be a problem and that you should just work your way through it in trust is beyond absurd. The fact is, I used to work for the fire district in Marion County, and not many people actually get to experience what a house fire is when it's fully engulfed, but I can tell you it's terrifying. And when an oxygen tank explodes, it's not a small fire. It's a very, very big deal. This petition is pretty much what we can do right now. And I'm grateful that Steve was able to bring this forward with Jennifer to make sure that OHA has to say on the public record why they don't want to protect our employees, why they don't believe safety for these residents is the #1 priority. But it doesn't go far enough for me. The governor herself is responsible for this. Fairborse, who is now the director of OHA, is responsible for this. And it's past time that we do something about it. So I hope that people listen. I hope the media decides to pay attention. And I frankly hope that people hear you and appreciate what you do, because without you, our streets would be worse, people would be worse off, and families would be in more tragedy. So thanks for supporting the petition.
Yeah,
But I'm
absolutely.
frankly just pissed off.
So, Anna, I want to thank you for your presentation today. I found myself really kind of inspired by it, actually. So I share Commissioner Bethel's frustration, and I am not above just being very direct about what I see as people doing bad things or people doing things that harm our community. One of the things that I was so inspired by your presentation is how nuanced it was, how deft it was, how you were able to talk about all the different parts of taking care of somebody who has mental illness, as far as ensuring that we're respecting that person's dignity, ensuring that we're respecting that person's freedom, and ensuring that we're respecting the safety not just of the one person, but of all the people in the house. I just felt like you articulated so well what it means to be responsible for a home. And I just thought that I hope people watch what you said, because I think it's one thing to just run a house. It's another thing to run a home, and it's another thing to run a home for folks who have different kinds of needs, different kinds of challenges. And like any of our homes, there are good days, there are bad days. There's behavior that we would love to see every day, and there's behavior that we would like to see no days, right? And and so I just thought you did such a good job of sort of showing the heart of your work and what you do and how you think about it. And I just think it's so important for folks in our community to see people like you doing this work, because I think so often we see people somewhere in some bureaucracy somewhere, and we're like, oh my gosh, like there's no normal humans doing work for our community. Like there's no normal people. And I just think like you showed that not only are there normal people, but there are great people doing this work, and there are people with big hearts doing this work. And so I really hope that OHA hears you, hears us, and is helpful to the work that you're doing. Because my perspective on this is like, after somebody gives me a presentation like that, I'm like, give them whatever they want. Like, obviously, they're trying to take care of people. Obviously, they love the people they serve. Like, what are we doing here?
You need the staff. Give the staff whatever they need.
This is insane. Like, give them the tools they need to do the work that obviously is their passion. So I just want to say thank you for doing it. Thank you for doing it, obviously, in a circumstance that's not ideal, with rules that are super frustrating. So anyway, I thought it was really good for me to hear you talk about your work, and I think it's going to be good for our community to hear you talk about the work, just so that people can have confidence that there are really good people doing this really hard work, who are competent, they're smart, they understand its nuance, they know how to do it, and we just need OHA to let the good people who are doing this work do their jobs and serve folks in our community who need to be served. And I think it's a testament to our community that people like you do this work, that people like you are willing to, because I think a lot of folks have fatigue seeing, I mean, there's no question that our mental health system's in crisis right now in Oregon. Everyone knows it. And we're all sick of it. And we all are like, hey, like, the people in charge of this system should fix it, but they should have been fixing it for the last 10 years. And I just think like we're all super tired of it being broken. And so it was encouraging for me to hear you today and to know that there are good, smart people who are doing the work. And we're not just stuck in a world where this has to be broken forever because, everybody's incompetent and doesn't know what they're doing. I mean, obviously there are some really good people who are very competent, know what they're doing, and we just need the state to give you the permission to do your work well. So thank you for your presentation today.
Yeah.
One of the things that the public needs to, I think, understand is that in the event that OHA moves forward with these rules and puts them into permanency, we're going to go backwards in the number of accessed beds statewide, because it's not true that we have to do this work as a government.
Right.
It's not. It's also not true that any private provider has to do it. It's a choice. We choose to do it because it's a part of the body of work and the continuum of care that's very important to help individuals in stabilization and in crisis to stabilization. Some individuals enter into this work because they believe in it and they can profit off of it. But there is not a single insurance company that I can think of that would insure a home of individuals who have access to potentially cost them a lot of money in damaging their home and or the people in it that they are financially responsible for through liability policies. I'm not an insurance expert by any means, but I own a home that has a wood stove in it, as an example. And it took me a lot of work to get that home fully insured because of that wood stove, because of the possibility it might burn down. And it's all secured and contained. unlike the example that you provided with the individual who is not in their right mind, has behavior episodes, and has a health condition that they are potentially creating a much larger hazard around. The governor has said through the audit that Ebony did when she first became the director of the Behavioral Health Department that we needed some 4,000 new beds statewide. And that was back in 2023. And Marion County has less than 30 beds total. Horizon House has 8?
9.
9. And we're just one very, very tiny piece of this continuum. But as the word has gotten out to different counties, county commissioners that I have talked to, and different private providers, they're all going, oh my gosh, how come OHA didn't ask us about this? But Ebony said in her letter to me that they've received extensive amounts of feedback in support of these temporary rules. And I've done a public records request trying to determine who it is that's providing this positive feedback on these temporary rules, and have had no response from OHA on that public records request providing the transparency of that information. Because I would love anybody that believes that these rules are a good idea, that actually operates a facility, to come and sit down with me and help me understand why. Because from my perspective, none of the rules that they have presented this last year, none of them have been a good idea. And in fact, I believe, Commissioner Willis, at a management update a few weeks ago, the board was informed from Naomi, I think, on the weapons issue, where OHA was requiring our staff to allow weapons to be in the homes with these individuals who are literally a danger to themselves or others. And it's because of the team in this room, Anna, Naomi, and Jennifer, that temporary rule is now ceased or halted for good reason. We should not allow weapons of any kind in a home that is mixed use to support individuals who are a danger to themselves or others because of their current mental state. And a lot of these individuals should be in this Oregon State Hospital, but are not because of the turmoil that the state hospital, OHA, Disability Rights Oregon, and the governor are in. So this is just like another effect of failed leadership and incompetency, and really, truly a lack of exposure to real-world work in real-world situations that these bureaucrats at the state level choose to hide behind their ivory towers, literally, marble buildings in downtown Salem. I could go on and on and on about this because I am just deeply frustrated, and it's no secret that I'm a very passionate and emotional person, but this, to me, this is personal. I truly am grateful that you show up to work every day and that you care for your team so deeply, and the challenges they've faced, that they come to work every day. So please pass on our appreciation to them, and let us know how we can continue to show up for you, because I'll skywrite it if I have to.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate what we said when we met before. Like, we have your back. We're going to support you. Keep doing the right thing.
Thank you so much for the recognition and support, and just the opportunity to share. I really, truly am hopeful that this will start more further conversations, and that residential providers will continue to speak up and advocate for their teams and all the works that are happening in this community-based services that we provide. I think that most of the individuals that I work with are some of my favorite humans. They're very compassionate. They show up, and they don't know what's going to happen that day, or and just really flexible, and they care. And we want to provide more beds. We truly do. We want to expand and grow, and I want to be part of that and continue to advocate for housing for this population that I care deeply about. I too have professional and personal reasons for that, so yeah, I'm happy to be part of any further conversations, happy to answer any further questions that might come up, and just thanks again for the opportunity to share and advocate for what we do. So,
what are the next steps once you file the petition, Steve?
So the petition is being filed today. The law requires Oregon Health Authority to solicit public comments. We know from numerous informal discussions that there are a lot of other counties that have similar concerns. So we'll be notifying all I'll send something out to the county council listserv to let them know and encourage them to start submitting those public comments. If OHA does not voluntarily fix this, I believe there are several other legal options we could take if we need to escalate further. We hope we don't have to do that. But I think given the nature of the safety concerns, we will have to consider that if they don't voluntarily fix this.
Thank you.